Good day, my name is Dave Glover. Today, I'd like to walk you through the new Centralized Configuration Management in Netwitness version 12. The Centralized Configuration Management is used to assist in applying the same configurations across multiple decoders or concentrators. The benefit to the administration team is being able to define and configure devices from a central policy instead of being required to log into each and every device. It would be much easier to modify a single policy versus logging in to 100 devices, for example. Let's get logged in and take a look at how all of this works. After logging in, we want to navigate to the Configure button and then to Policies. We will see that there are two options here, Configuration and Content. Content will be covered in a later video. So let's start with Configuration. Things are broken down here by using groups and policies. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define a group. So we'll go ahead and click Create New. First thing we need to do is we need to assign a group name. So for this example, we're just going to call it a log decoder group. Select the type of service. We're going to select log decoder. You'll notice that there are three different types of services here that can be used for building policies for. In our case, we will go ahead and select log decoder. We will then click Next. And what we see here is all of the log decoders that we have in a deployment. For example, in this one here, I only have a single one. So I'll go ahead and select that. At this point, if we click Next, we'll be prompted to apply the policy that we've built. In this case, we haven't built a policy yet, so we're just going to click on Save and Close. At this point, we need to now go ahead and build a policy. So we click on Policies. Let's click on Create New, and let's give this a name. So we'll go ahead and call this log decoder policy. Again, here's where we choose the service type, so we'll choose log decoder. If we had an existing service that we'd like to clone from, that's where we're given the option here. So let's just say, for example, prior to the centralized configuration management, you would set up a log decoder or a packet decoder or a concentrator, and you want to pull that configuration and build a policy out of it. That's where we would pick this option here. But in our case, we don't have any policies, we don't have any configurations already set up. So we'll go ahead, we're not going to clone this from an existing service, we'll click Next. What we're shown here now is all of the options for that log decoder. So we could go in here and select things for our database. For example, we're going to change the REST port. So by default, that's 50102. So let's go ahead and change that to something different. Let's just change that to 50202. So we sort of pick that, it shows us our default value, and then what we want to do to apply on the policy. So let's go ahead now and pick a different option. We want to enable the SSL for a REST connection. So we've gone ahead and enabled that. And if there was anything else that we wanted to do, for example, change the cache size, we'll go ahead and add that over. And the default is 4. Let's go ahead and make that 6. So we've now gone ahead and selected 6. At this point, we can go ahead and click Next. This is now where we see the groups. We had created that single log decoder group. Let's go ahead and add that to the policy, and we save and publish. When making changes to log decoders or network decoders or sometimes concentrators, it will require a restart on that service. In our case, we can just click on Publish and Restart Now. This is a lab environment. But in a production environment with change windows and so forth, you might need to delay that change or that publish to a later time. Maybe, for example, changes are only allowed at 2 a.m. on a Friday night. So then that's when you could pick this Publish and Restart later. But in our case, we'll just go ahead and click Publish and Restart Now. And what we'll see here is that this policy will show in progress as it's going ahead and applying all of that. And once that's done, it'll then come back and show published, much like it just did right now. At this point, we have a single group, we have a single policy. Let's go ahead and create another group. Let's create one for our concentrators. Something very simple, concentrator group. Select the service type. We're going to go ahead and pick concentrator. We'll click Next and select the concentrator that we have. If I have a larger environment where I have multiple concentrators, I would drag multiples into this group. Once I do that, we click Save and Close. And again, if we click Next, I will actually ask us what policy we wanted to define or what policy we want to add to the group. We don't have one in here yet, so we're just going to go click Save and close. Let's now go ahead and build a policy for our concentrators. Same process as we just did for the log decoders. So create new, let's give this a name, very original, concentrator policy. What's the service type? Concentrators. Again, we could pick to clone this from something else. We don't need to do that. Let's click next. And here we have all of the concentrator settings. Much like we did with the log decoder, go ahead. For example, if we want to change REST to be SSL enabled, go ahead and click that. From there, we can also make any other changes. Maybe we want to go in here to our cache window minutes. It's set for 5. Let's change that to 0. That's just the caching for Investigator when it goes and connects to these devices. Do that. We made a couple of changes. Click next. Same process. We go ahead and grab our concentrator group, save and publish and restart now. And it'll be the same process that we just went through for the log decoder. Let's go ahead and create one last and final group. Just to finish this up, we're going to go ahead and create a network decoder group. Select the type of service, will be decoder, click next. We'll go ahead and add our decoder over into that group, save and close. Click on the policies, same thing we've already done twice before. Give a name to the policy, what type of service, it's a decoder. Click next. Let's just go ahead and do the same thing we've done. Let's enable SSL for the REST port. Go down here and we will change our cache window minutes, just as a common setting as we just did before. Change that to 0. Click next. Add over the decoders. Save and publish. By building all of these using groups and policies, it really allows the administration of the system to be much, much easier. In a larger environment where I may have 5, 10, or 100 decoders and the same amount of concentrators, it would require a lot of effort to go into all of the different devices to make sure that they're configured the same. Whereas by using groups and policies, we can find a common set of parameters for all of our decoders, log decoders, and concentrators. I hope that was useful. Thank you very much.